Hey guys, Ben here, and welcome back to another video on Star Wars The Last Jedi, and also, I guess, about Episode 9. So, there's spoilers ahead, so please click off the video if you don't want to be spoiled, but this is going to be a theory video regarding the future of Snoke, and what really happened to Snoke in The Last Jedi. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new so you don't miss any Star Wars content, because I do plan on making a lot more Star Wars content. And also, I quickly wanted to add in the working title of episode 9 is also named Black Diamond. This could be a reference to Snoke's ring, because we know he had a black Kyber crystal. Also, I think it could be a reference to the Darksaber from the Star Wars comics and the Star Wars canon. So I think if they included a Darksaber, I would be extremely happy, and loads of you guys would be happy. So I think that could be a reference to that, but that is just a working title. Obviously, the working titles are just small little things to put in place before they actually come up with the name, like say for episode 8 they came up with the name The Last Jedi. So we will be getting that information sometime later next year. I doubt if we get it anytime this year. But what really happened to Snoke in The Last Jedi? So in The Last Jedi, massive spoilers, Snoke is supposedly killed by Kylo Ren, and I'm using parentheses here because I don't think he's dead. Like, there's a lot of reason to believe that he's actually dead. They've obviously dwelled on that during episode 8, you know, going back to the shot with him with his head severed on the ground. But to me, it just seems like maybe there's a bigger picture here. Maybe this was all on purpose. So I'm going to be explaining a theory, and although I'm sort of 50-50 on whether he's alive or whether he's dead, I still think this theory is pretty strong. So before Star Wars The Last Jedi actually was released in cinemas, a lot of merchandise went out, a lot of theories, a lot of advertisement to do with Snoke's character, and to be fair, he was probably one of the smallest parts in the film. He was in it for like maybe 2 or 3 scenes, and his scenes was just him talking. We got an example of his powers, how powerful he is. He is extremely powerful. He looks more powerful than the Emperor was, or Darth Vader was then, and it just seemed kind of petty how he died like that. But I understand that obviously it was all in order so Kylo could actually become this villain, because before he was really just the lackey, and I'll talk more about that later. So he looks different from The Force Awakens. This is one crucial point. This version of Snoke doesn't look the same as the version we saw only a few days before. That is the timeline jump. That's how short the timeline jump was to the one we actually saw in the Force hologram. So he looks a lot more older in The Force Awakens, and he looks a lot more worn down. I'll have some comparisons on the screen right now. There's a lot of differences in his actual look, and you can see he's got more scars and more, you know, deformities in the Force Awakens version. And although it could just be CGI, I don't think they would be that sloppy. And in The Last Jedi, he looks a lot more younger, and he speaks very different. He speaks more like a young man. And in The Force Awakens, he speaks more gruffly, like he's been injured or something's happened to him. So that is just another point that actually backs up the fact that maybe we didn't actually see him. He was a Force ghost in the whole film. Every scene that we saw him in, he was a Force projection like Luke did. So could that be true? Yes, I think it could be. Maybe he did this in order so he can make Kylo what he was supposed to become, because he couldn't do it just as what he was doing right now. He wouldn't have progressed until he actually took his own destiny into his own hands before, rather than him actually being controlled. And maybe he foresaw this, and potentially, I think with the working title being Black Diamond, I think there's a lot of references to Snoke. He could appear in episode 9, although there's a lot of evidence to believe that he won't appear in episode 9, just due to Kylo becoming this main villain. I still think if this theory is correct, he could definitely appear, and there's a lot of chance, because when Luke actually was revealed to be Force projecting himself, he looked a lot younger, and he looked very different. So maybe Snoke did the same, because obviously they look different in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So I think with him supposedly being the most powerful Force user in the galaxy ever, there's no reason to believe that he can't fake his own death, he can't fake his own being chopped in half. I definitely think he could do that. So if he was to come back, we would see this darker, this more twisted version of Snoke, and he seemed to be a bit too easy for him to die. It was really easy, because Snoke says he can feel every move Kylo's going to make. He's going to ignite the lightsaber, and maybe Snoke knew that, maybe he foresaw that, and it was all part of his plan in order to make Kylo this different version of himself, this stronger version. And we saw his strength. He used the Force across the galaxy from where Hux was through a hologram. That was really, really powerful, and that's just an example of his power. and also we saw him using Force Lightning. We saw him actually taking control of the lightsaber as it floated around, as Rey tried to actually get the lightsaber, and it just showed how powerful he was. You know, it was nothing that we've ever seen, and with him dying like that, I do think there's a high possibility that he's going to return. So Snoke turned and manipulated Kylo to the dark from when he was young, and this step, killing his master, made him all the more powerful, as we actually get to experience in the film. So maybe it's all part of his training. Maybe that is what Snoke actually wanted Kylo Ren to do. So what do you guys think of that theory? I think that's a very strong theory if he's actually to return. So there's a lot of things that we could actually point out that actually leads to us maybe seeing that Snoke might return sometime in the future, but I think it's a possibility. But also I see the logical approach that he's actually dead. He could literally be dead. Maybe he thought he was more powerful than he thought he was. And yeah, so anyway guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.
It doesn't make us strong, it doesn't make us weak. Tongue tied to service like chivalry.